You may be sitting near a banker's box right now. Inside are curled photographs, stained recipe cards, and unlabeled USB drives you have meant to sort through for months, maybe years. It is normal to stall out. Family history is archaeology with feelings, and it usually asks you to make organized decisions while you are overwhelmed by memories. Instead of starting, the box just keeps winning. To fix this, we are going to stop trying to catalog an entire life. Instead, we will use a straightforward 4-step system to build a focused, manageable living archive. Choosing a manageable scope makes the project good enough to be finished. A completed archive that your family can actually read is the goal, rather than a perfect history that never leaves the box. Step 1 happens before you pick up a single photograph. We need to set strict boundaries so the project does not expand until it becomes impossible to complete. We start by deciding exactly who will read the final project and what we want them to feel. A book designed to give grandchildren a sense of history looks very different from a book designed to provide cognitive support for someone with memory loss. This layout shows the 4 foundational questions you need to lock in your boundaries. Identify who the book is for, the desired emotional reaction, the amount of detail the reader can comfortably process, and critically, the exact amount of work you can realistically finish. Instead of trying to document Dad's whole life, try a more focused season. You could track his military years, the early years of a marriage, or the stories from the family bakery. Setting these tight parameters transforms an overwhelming obligation into a series of small, achievable choices. Step 2 controls the influx of new material. When you ask relatives for photos, establish a single digital intake point, like one dedicated email address or one cloud folder, so you do not have to hunt down images across 5 different messaging apps. Require that every submitted item comes with context. If someone sends a photo, they must tell you who is in it, where it was taken, the approximate year, and why it matters to the family. Next, apply this strict naming convention to organize digital files. Start with the year to keep timelines straight, followed by the person or event. Add contributor initials to know who to ask for details, and finally the version, so you never edit over an original. Log all of this into a master tracker spreadsheet. Record the item you received, the contributor's name, and whether you have confirmed the permission and caption status. Adopting these librarian-style habits protects the family history from being lost a second time to hard drive crashes or forgotten context. Step 3 shifts how we gather the stories to match those photos. The most common failure point in family interviews is asking a broad question like, "What do you remember?" That prompt is often too broad. People panic, their minds go blank, and they default to generic phrases that don't actually capture the person's character. As this comparison shows, you bypass that mental block by using sensory-anchored prompts. Ask what their house smelled like: coffee, sawdust, or perfume. Ask about specific catchphrases, or the things they did that everyone counted on. When you do this, memories will inevitably conflict. One sibling remembers a trip as magical, while another remembers rain and mosquitoes. Do not attempt to solve this, just record the different versions as part of the scene. Shifting from broad interrogations to specific sensory prompts captures the actual texture of a person's life, rather than just a list of dates. Step 4 is where you discover the natural narrative of your project. Take all the photos, notes, and records you have gathered and physically spread them out on a large surface. You have 2 viable choices for organizing this material. You can build a chronological timeline moving through the years, or you can group items by their emotional meaning to create a thematic structure. To execute a thematic sort like this, arrange everything into separate piles under conceptual headings like work and calling, origins, or family rituals. As you do this, pay attention to the piles themselves. Notice which thematic category naturally grows the fastest and draws the most attention from your contributors. If the kitchen memories pile is twice as large as the others, the archive has identified its own center of gravity. The story is clearly centered on hospitality rather than a simple calendar of events. To prevent organizing anxiety, create a folder labeled Late Arrivals. When someone finds another shoebox of photos after you've started, it goes there for the next edition. Executing this physical sorting test gives the raw, chaotic data of a life an actual narrative heartbeat. You have taken that heap of unlabeled photos and raw notes and built them into a functioning, living archive. Your digital files are safely named, your interviews hold sensory depth, and your physical items are cleanly sorted by meaning rather than just by age. From here, you can move this prepped archive into a book layout, prioritizing whitespace, or hand it off seamlessly to a professional ghostwriter to polish the prose. Simply finishing the organization phase is a profound act of family love. It ensures the legacy survives the box and finally reaches the people it was meant for.